Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most impactful books on self-improvement ever written, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And what makes it so powerful isn't some complex theory. No, it all starts with a single, devastating personal story that shows us a fundamental truth about how we change. I mean, just listen to that. That's a quote from James Clear himself. Picture this. It's the last day of his sophomore year in high school, and a stray baseball bat hits him directly in the face. The injury was absolutely catastrophic. We're talking a swollen brain, multiple skull fractures, and seizures. He had to be airlifted to a hospital and was placed in a medically induced coma. So his long, painful road to recovery wasn't some big, dramatic overnight success. It was all about the small things, the tiny, almost unnoticeable steps. Just getting enough sleep, hitting the books, lifting weights in the gym. These were the tiny, atomic habits that, over years, completely rebuilt his life. They took him from being cut from the baseball team to becoming an academic All-American. His story is the perfect foundation for the book's core message.
Okay, so this brings us to the central idea of the entire book, the power of 1%. We're all taught to believe that if you want big results, you need to take massive action. But Clear's argument is the total opposite. He says the real, lasting change comes from tiny, almost invisible improvements, from getting just 1% better each day. And honestly, when you see the math, it is absolutely mind-blowing.
It all starts here. After one day, you're 1% better. That's it. It feels like nothing, right? You read one page. You do one push-up. It's so small you might even think, why am I even bothering with this?
But if you just stick with it for 100 days, that incredible magic of compounding starts to kick in. All of a sudden, you are more than 2.5 times better than where you started. Now you can start to feel that momentum building, but the real explosion hasn't even happened yet.
And here it is. This is the payoff. After one single year of those tiny 1% gains, you are nearly 38 times better. 38 times. That is the jaw-dropping power of consistency. This is what Clear means when he says good habits make time your ally. It's not about some giant leap. It's about letting those small efforts snowball into something truly remarkable. So if the math works, why do we give up so easily? Well, it's because we expect progress to be a straight line. Clear calls this gap between what we expect and what actually happens the plateau of latent potential. He uses this brilliant analogy of an ice cube. Imagine an ice cube in a room that's slowly warming up from 25 to 28 to 31 degrees. Nothing happens. It looks like all that energy is wasted. But then, at 32 degrees, a massive change is unlocked. All your hard work in that valley of disappointment isn't being wasted. It's just being stored. And this leads to another huge idea in the book. Forget about your goals. Seriously, focus on your systems instead. Think about it. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Every Olympian wants to win gold. The difference isn't the goal, it's the system of continuous, tiny improvements. Goals are about a moment in time. Once you achieve it, the motivation can vanish. But a system? That's the process that delivers results again and again and again. So if we want to build better systems, we kind of need to understand how habits actually work under the hood, right? Clear breaks it all down into a super simple 4-step loop that's running our lives pretty much 24/7. Every single habit you have, good or bad, follows this exact neurological feedback loop. First, there's a cue. That's the trigger. That cue sparks a craving, the motivation, or the desire. Then comes the response, which is the actual habit you perform. And finally, you get a reward, which satisfies that craving, and most importantly, teaches your brain to repeat the loop next time. And this is where it gets real. Just look at these everyday examples. Your phone buzzes? That's the cue. You feel that little pull, that urge to know what's up. That's the craving. You pick up your phone, the response, and you satisfy your curiosity. That's the reward. From your morning coffee to biting your nails, this loop is constantly running our lives on autopilot. Okay, so if that's how habits are built, how do we actually take control of the process? Well, Clear gives us this incredibly practical and powerful framework he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. Think of each law as a lever we can pull to design good habits and get rid of the bad ones. The first law is all about the cue, make it obvious. If you want to build a good habit, you have to make the cues for it unavoidable. Want to play guitar more often? Don't hide it in a case in the closet.
put it on a stand right in the middle of your living room. And a great technique for this is something called habit stacking. You just link your new habit to one you already have. So, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Your coffee just became the cue. Law number 2 targets the craving. Make it attractive. It's a simple fact of human nature. We're more likely to do things we find appealing. A killer technique for this is temptation bundling. You pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. For example, I'm only allowed to listen to my favorite podcast while I'm exercising. You're bundling that temptation with the habit you want to build, which makes exercising way more attractive. The third law zeroes in on the response, and it's based on a fundamental truth about all of us. We are wired to be lazy. We will almost always follow the path of least resistance. So the key is to reduce the friction for good habits and increase it for bad ones. And to do that, Clear offers a surprisingly simple but powerful rule to get you started. It's called the 2-minute rule, and this is a total game changer. The idea is you shrink any new habit down so that it takes less than 2 minutes to start. So run 3 miles becomes put on my running shoes. Read before bed every night becomes read 1 page. You're not trying to achieve the whole thing at once, you're just mastering the art of showing up, because once you've started, the rest is so much easier. And finally, the 4th law targets the reward and closes that habit loop. Make it satisfying. The most important rule of behavior change is this: what is rewarded is repeated. The trouble is, the rewards of good habits are often delayed, while the rewards of bad habits are almost always immediate. So we need to find a way to give ourselves an immediate win. A habit tracker is the perfect way to do this. You just get a calendar and put a big X on it every single day you do your habit. That simple act provides immediate, visual proof that you're making progress. It feels good. It creates a streak, a chain that you really don't want to break. And if you do miss a day, which will happen, the rule is simple: never miss twice. 1 mistake is an accident. 2 is the start of a new, bad habit. Now, all these tools, all these laws, they're incredibly powerful. But they all serve a much, much deeper purpose. And this is where the book goes beyond being just a set of life hacks and gets to the real heart of change: your identity. This right here is a complete shift in perspective. The true goal is not to achieve something, it's to become someone. Instead of focusing on outcomes, the marathon, the book, you focus on the kind of person you want to be. Think about this for a second. Your habits are how you literally embody a particular identity. Every single time you go for a run, you are casting a vote for "I am a runner." Every time you sit down and write 1 page, you're casting a vote for "I am a writer." These small actions aren't just about results, they are the very building blocks of who you are. And this is probably the most important question to start with. Before you think about what you want to achieve, ask yourself, who do I want to become? Once you know the answer to that, you can then ask a much simpler question: what would that type of person do today? And then you can start building the small habits that cast those votes, day after day after day. And that really is the ultimate takeaway. Atomic Habits gives us an amazing system for getting 1% better every day. Not just in what we do, but in who we are. The real goal isn't to achieve more, it's to become more. As Clear says himself, quite literally, you become your habits.